somehow come up with a solution, you make your product or service, and then you just want the designers to make it look good so that you can sell it to your customers. That is exactly not what design is. It's a very small part of designing, but the main aspect of design is a problem-solving philosophy. It also involves participating at the early stage of product development, not being there right when everything has been done in a very analytical way. And I truly believe, and all of us at Kalyani Studio, we champion the Design in India movement because we feel Make in India will not work unless you create jobs. And to create jobs, you need Design in India, because Make in India will have a lot of automation involved, and then you have to find the new high technology jobs. And that's what we're doing at Kalyani Studio with design thinking. So to illustrate some examples, there are some tenets that we live by. Many of you who may be in the design field already know of the phrase form follows function. So we've turned that upside down, and we feel that function should follow form. What I mean by that is, for a long time, when you look at the last century, industry has been looking at functional aspects of products and then putting some exterior aesthetics to it for the design to take place. But when we look at design itself defining function, that's when you start really creating some magic. And that's what we do at Kalyani Studio. So to illustrate that, we have a framework of our domains and the outcomes. We use 4 main domains, which is design thinking, material science, mechanical engineering, and manufacturing engineering. And with all these, we come up with high performance outcomes around high strength engineering. So this is all about your under the hood products, creating better motion, better stability, better torque ratios and strength to weight ratios and things like that. So that's where function follows form comes into place. It's about your domain expertise that you put in through design to get your performance outcomes for the products. Another example in which we use design thinking is we're redefining what it means to be a designer. Traditionally, the engineering and design industry has designers where you're expected to just know how to run a particular software, and you're given very limited tasks to perform repeatedly. It's routine work, and you're just responsible for a very small portion of the entire problem that you're solving. So we're looking at a more holistic approach. We're bringing back the mojo in mechanical engineering by creating new kinds of jobs, one of them being solution designers. So a lot of our team members are highly creative people. They're engineers as well as coming from different backgrounds, but they look at solving a problem end to end, from the customer's inputs to the end solution, not just looking at one portion of the design cycle. So this involves having new skills, inculcating new skills on the job. Now, you might wonder why any of this is even important. It's because technology is changing at a very rapid rate, and that's a very well-known aspect right now, but not many people know what to do about it. We're just talking about the rapid pace of technology and highlighting the problem. So what we've come to understand through our experience working with clients is that in order to ride these technology waves, and this will happen in each of your businesses, no matter what field you're in, you have to use design to be turbocharging your innovation process. So innovation should get more scientific. It should be more process-oriented. It cannot be a one-hit wonder. It cannot be something that you strike upon by luck and then you're set, because after one innovation, a few years down the line or months down the line, there'll be another startup that will just disrupt and change the technology. So you always have to be problem solving and focusing on solutions rather than just the product or service. So what this means as a leader or as part of managing an enterprise, a lot of you may be founders here in the room. It's very important that you look at the transition that's taking place amongst very successful businesses. This is just a typical org structure, very simplified one that I'm explaining. Leadership has to get more design thinking oriented leadership. What this means is you impart design thinking as a philosophy across all your functions. And all your different functions should be innovative. There's technologies that change each of those areas, like sales, production, administration, as well as your core innovative process. So if you have a design thinking mindset, you will always be looking for innovations in all parts of your business and expecting that from everybody in the company, not just from one team that is sitting somewhere in a different part of, a part of the world or a different location. And how do you enable this change? It requires a change in mindset. Firstly, you've got to trust the process more than the outcome. It's very important that you have that discipline. Accepting more ambiguity. Design means there's a lot more creativity coming in. There's a lot more new solutions, new possibilities, and a lot more unknowns. So if you have unknowns, it doesn't mean you just stop there. You should say, these are the assumptions we'll take and move forward. And then you have a reiterative process of solving your problems. And this involves embracing risk. Coming with ambiguity, there is uncertainty, but navigating that risk is what is part of the entrepreneurial journey. And finally, resetting expectations. So if you understand that innovation is a continuous process, there are going to be certain failures and certain successes, then you will continue doing it. You won't pull the plug on the entire process. So finally, I'd like to show some examples of how you can put in a design-centric culture. This is from an article from the founder of IDEO, Tim Brown. There are 5 main aspects to it. First is focus on the user's experience and emotions. Second, create models to examine complex problems. Use prototypes to understand the solution. Tolerate failure. And finally, exhibit thoughtful restraint. So focusing on user experiences, some of the things that we do, we have worked on a lot of projects for our OEM clients, some in the agricultural technology field, some in the automotive field, and we look at very under-the-hood applications and products to improve their strength and performance. But we can't just look at that particular component and solve the problem. We have to engage with the end users, who may not be our direct customers, but they could be our customers or the end consumer on the field. So here you have interactions with farmers on the field when we're looking at agricultural technology, and also when you look at a passenger or a driver of a car, what are the experiences they're going through. Understanding all this is very important for you to be coming up with the right solutions and the right problems that you're solving. For the 3 middle portions of this design-centric culture, that's creating models, prototypes, and tolerating failure, we have an entire design process which is end-to-end from concept right to launching in the market. So we work on new concept generation, experimenting, detailing the designs, simulating them in using software, creating prototypes, which could be mock-ups or models, and then making the final product. So all these 5 different stages help us get very design-centric and user-centric. What this does is we're able to experiment, we're able to find failures, and the point of failures is to learn from them. It's not just to, that's not the end goal. And finally, exhibit thoughtful restraint. This is very important no matter what business you are in. It especially comes in line with your strategy. So we have applied that to define our niche and strategy. We have restrained ourselves to look at the entire high-strength spectrum. We define strength as in terms of pascals or a form of pressure. And we decided that we're going to look at projects and applications above 1 megapascal, not below it. So we could get a lot of opportunities coming from a lot of customers, but we had to say no to all of them because we would not be able to create the deep expertise of high strength. So because of that restraint we put on ourselves, it forced us to start understanding what happens above 1 megapascal. And so we've developed a new scale of strength that goes all the way up to 100 gigapascals. Just to understand this concept, 1 megapascal is the strength of an average human bite. And that's what we used as a sort of turning point where we will work on strength applications above human capability. That's where a lot of under-the-hood products come into place. A lot of deep or heavy industrial applications require a lot of high strength. So these are just some examples. I won't get into the details, but this has helped us to define our strategy, to get very detailed about our capabilities, and our clients know exactly what we're good at and what we're not really working on. So it creates much faster product market fit and faster cycles of client development. So in conclusion, if you look at design thinking, it's a combination of human values, business thinking, and technology. And if you make use of all three and harness all three in balance, that's when you get real design innovation. So with that, I'd like to conclude. If you have any challenges on high strength, feel free to reach out to us or write to us. That's my email. And you can ask any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Questions?
Hi, this is Sunil Khanna, and I wish to know, can you give some concrete solution that you had given to industry or any industry?
Sure. I mean, at the risk of, like, we have client confidentiality contracts, so we cannot give details, but as an example, I could talk about a project where we're looking at two different vehicles which are used off-road, and we have to integrate them. And we're designing a linkage mechanism that makes the two work together functionally, not just in terms of transportation, but also in terms of the off-road applications that they do.
Over IP?
Sorry?
Over internet protocols? Over IP? How? How did you do this? How did you do it? I mean, how? What is the technology that you used?
So it's all designs. We come up with new concepts, which is of physical products. It's not a digital design. So it's a vehicle on the road or on the field, and we're making components, drawings, assemblies, and then building it out in terms of a physical prototype.
So in a way, you are working on all the industry verticals, or you have some focus on some particular industry?
We're working on all industry verticals, but the focus comes on the high strength aspect, which is, sorry, I can't get to that slide. It's above 1 megapascal.
All right.
So any industry, whatever field, but if the forces, the strength is above 1 megapascal, that's where we can provide our expertise.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Any more questions? I think here we would like to conclude the session. I would call Ms. Ritu Marriot to come on stage.